not trying to start some theological debate. You believe what you believe. What I'm saying is the only way you could believe so that you could get into the crazy logical loop like she's in, and someone will blaspheme your God, the person that you believe you owe your literal soul to. He saved your soul. He sacrificed himself for your soul, and you let a man blaspheme you. Hello family, we are back with another video. To set the stage for this one, something I've always thought to myself is, if there's so many good, God-fearing Christians on earth, I mean, it's the most popular religion on earth by far, then why is the world so bad? You know, we wouldn't see as much of this. We wouldn't see as much heinous stuff. And in particular, we'd almost never see it in the church. It should really never, ever happen in the church. But we know it's statistically quite likely to happen in the church. I'm just at a point where this should, if nothing else, prove that this is 100% a cult. Because, you know, if I were just to say F Jesus, if I were just to go in a public place, I live in Georgia myself, so if I was in a Waffle House in the middle of the night and I just said F Jesus, everyone, I get beat up. The Waffle House, especially in the Waffle House, I don't know if y'all know about Waffle House, bro. I get beat up. I had to post the videos. I got hands now. Like, it ain't nothing like that, but I get beat up, bro. They jump on me if I said F Jesus in the Waffle House. This man literally blasphemed and posted himself as Jesus, and he's the president of the United States. It doesn't make any sense that there's even an inkling of room for this. I mean, I think I said in one of my previews, you have to draw the line somewhere. You have to eventually draw the line somewhere. And the fact that even this isn't too far for some people is really beyond me. But that's how you know they don't really believe it. It's really based in fear. They're only doing this because they want to go to heaven. And that's really, we can go into a deeper talk about that, but a lot of this stuff, a lot of this world really taps into people's ego and their need for self-preservation. If there was no treat, if there was no good end at the end of Christianity, there'd be no Christians. It wouldn't be happening, I promise you. And you can make your debates and whatever, but that is my honest belief, that if there was no good end to this, if there wasn't something that was, and again, this is not just a good end, this is eternal happiness. This is the best place you could possibly ever exist in ever. If that wasn't the end of this, nobody would even be remotely adhering to this, is my take. But let me know what you think. We're gonna get right into this video. You can take a look at the title, Trump attacks MAGA superstar. She stuns the world. Video by Pondering Politics. Make sure to check them out. Let's go.
In the aftermath of Donald Trump posting a blasphemous image depicting himself as Jesus Christ and then quietly deleting it after facing widespread and surprising MAGA backlash from its more conservative Christian flank, something happened which was simultaneously hilarious, pathetic, and deeply instructive about the humiliation fetish that is the MAGA cult. And it involves one of the biggest names in MAGA, who was thrown under the bus by Trump after she dared to criticize him. And as bad as that was, her response to that was even worse. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, folks, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the name Riley Gaines, but for those of you who don't know, Riley Gaines is a young Christian, conservative, political, and culture war activist. She's 25 years old, and she was launched into notoriety like 4 years ago because she tied for 5th place against a trans swimmer at a women's swim meet at the University of Kentucky. Okay, she's a very good swimmer, but she tied for 5th with a trans swimmer. Okay, and you can probably, if you don't know Riley Gaines' story, you can probably already guess. But one thing led to another. She was propped up by right-wing media, and she became an anti-trans activist and has made it her entire fucking personality. Naturally, she found a home within the Republican Party, and she cozied on up to Trump because despite being a devout Christian, she feels the need to compromise those principles to cozy up to the least Christ-like figure in American politics, Donald Trump. Now, after Trump engaged in open blasphemy, the likes of which no Democratic politician has ever engaged in, and Riley would struggle to deal with that. Every Democratic politician is morally superior and better Christian than Donald Trump. She felt the need to call it out.
I'll pause there. This is just like, that's just not true. Like, maybe on the surface, like maybe how they present for sure, but and I'm sure some of them are like morally superior to him in some ways or the other, but every Democratic politician, that's kind of a stretch. That's very much a stretch. Not even kind of. That's just, I would say that's false. And, but, there's a bias. I mean, he's a left-leaning source. So just keep that in mind, if you, find yourself truly trying to detach from the left or right of this all. I'm just like, like, dude, all these people are like reptilian and evil and lizards. Like, don't get confused and think like these people are the actual good Christians or something either. These are just the bad guys we're dealing with now. I just wanted to add that in.
And then after Trump deleted his Jesus image, depicting himself as Jesus, he threw her under the bus. Quote, I'm not a big fan of Riley, actually. Donald Trump shot down the idea that he deleted his Jesus post because of criticism from MAGA darling and former college swimmer Riley Gaines, dropping the revelation that he's, quote, not a big fan of Riley, actually. On Sunday night, Trump posted the now deleted AI-generated image of himself seemingly the role of Jesus Christ. In the image, he dons a robe and heals a sick man with his hand as nurses and soldiers look on. Trump's post drew backlash from many members of the conservative media who dubbed it, quote, blasphemous and, quote, unacceptable. Gaines, a major Trump opponent who once likened those who wish for Trump to, quote, fail to, quote, domestic terrorists, took to X to share her dismay with Trump's post. So for context, let's look at what she said. She said, why? Seriously, I cannot understand why he'd post this. Is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? Either way, two things are true. Number one, a little humility would serve him well. And number two, God shall not be mocked. Relatively tepid in terms of its criticism. She could have and would have gone much harsher if it had been Zoran Mamdani or AOC or a Democrat, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, doesn't matter, but she had to pull her punches for Trump.
Something to note there. Just keep in mind as we go into this response. Again, she said, God shall not be mocked. It kind of hits. Like that was some smite right there, God shall not be mocked. And again, the world will be in outrage. And did we forget that this man threatened to vaporize an entire civilization and said praise be to Allah on Easter Sunday. And now this. But again, God shall not be mocked. Let's continue. Let's see what transpires.
She's not principled, but she did call him out. While speaking with reporters outside the White House on Monday, Trump confirmed that he posted the image, but claimed he thought it portrayed him as a doctor, not Jesus. Again, thus calling into question Trump's senility, right?
It's crazy, bro.
Trump doubled down on his interpretation of the image in a phone interview with CBS News' Norah O'Donnell.
I thought he was a doctor. Dr. Phil. Dr. Dre. I thought he was a doctor, not Jesus. If I was Jesus, I would have had flowing hair. I was a doctor. Dr. Pepper. Dr. Oz. It was a doctor. The best doctor, in fact. I was on the way to do a surgery. They said he was dead. Never to be seen again. I put my hand on his chest. I'm getting Denzel. Put my hand on his chest.
Asserting he thought it was created by, quote, a very beautiful, talented artist, and showed him, quote, playing the doctor.
Very beautiful.
Nonetheless, Trump told O'Donnell that he took down the photo as a result of the, quote, confusion surrounding the image. Quote, normally, I don't like doing that, but I didn't want anybody to be confused. People were confused.
Normally,
Trump responded with vehement denial when asked if he took down the post due to the backlash from people like Gaines. Quote, I didn't listen to Riley Gaines. I'm not a big fan of Riley, actually. So, that's what he said. Now, I want to show you how she responded to this in the form of a written post and then her going to Truth Social or going to social media to actually like post a video, okay? So in response to this man whom she has endorsed and voted for, that she stood on stage beside, whom Trump has repeatedly praised in the past, right? I want you to see what she says when he throws her under the bus, says he doesn't like her and he doesn't listen to her. She says, I love the president and I'm so grateful he's in the Oval Office. Of course, I'll continue to support him in the America First agenda. At the end of the day, I do nothing for the approval of man. Our purpose on this earth is to glorify him, God, in all we do. The Truth Social post missed the mark. It's now deleted. Amazing. We're imperfect people. I know I am. I don't get my feelings hurt easy, and I know with the president, it's really not personal. I want to spend eternity in a real place called heaven. I'd love for Trump to be there too. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I'll keep doing my part by speaking truth and doing my best to lead others to Christ. And no, I won't be selling merch with his insults on them. A reference to Tucker Carlson, who is doing just that. Now,
Dude, my thing with this is my only issue. Let me think about what I want to say here. This level of delusion comes from somewhere. I'll put it like that. Like, this level of delusion comes from somewhere. And if not mental illness, if a person is not just schizophrenic or crazy or mentally imbalanced, this is probably the second best option, is this kind of religious programming that will have you believing contradictory things. Not in this particular instance here, but I mean, overall. I mean, just the idea that the book is good, or that this is a good story, or that the God that they're depicting to you is a good God that you should love, even though he knows everything, but he's going to test you, even though he already knows. So then he's going to spite you if you fail the test that he already knew the answer to, but he knew he would spite you from the beginning. So then why did he ever create? Like, the logic of this whole thing just falls in upon itself. And again, I promise, I'm not trying to start some theological debate. You believe what you believe. What I'm saying is, the only way you could believe so that you could get into the crazy logical loop like she's in, and someone will blaspheme your God, the person that you believe you owe your literal soul to. He saved your soul. He sacrificed himself for your soul, and you let a man blaspheme him, which is strictly against this God's rules, and then you still find it in your heart to support the person. I'm sorry. I don't want to get agitated. Let me calm down just a little bit. But this doesn't make sense, okay? This doesn't make sense. But the only way, like I said before, this kind of delusion has to come from somewhere. It has to be coded within your programming. This logic has to exist somewhere in the code for then a situation like this to happen, because it doesn't make sense. If you really believed it as much as you said, if everyone really believed as much as they said, they'd be flipping it upside down right now. It wouldn't happen. I mean, for God's sake, and God we trust is on the money. Like, it is that serious, apparently. These whole people are making it a white Christian nation is like their whole thing. But then you have a guy up here blaspheming your literal God, and you still support him. It's just, like, at this point, this just proves there's no arguing. This is a thing beyond conversation, because he could blaspheme God. That's why the Epstein stuff doesn't matter, because he could blaspheme Jesus, and it doesn't matter. Like, none of it matters. None of it matters to them. They're arguing based strictly off of, I don't even know at this point. I really don't know. I'm sorry for getting so agitated, but let's go, man.
and he's insulted her and thrown her under the bus. This is how she responds on video.
The President of the United States is upset with me. Let's talk about it. I know you guys saw the post. The AI-generated photo posted to President Trump's Truth Social account depicting him as Christ healing someone. This was me, a lifelong Bible-believing Christian conservative, this morning when I saw the post. Like, come on, President. I love the President. I support the President. I'm always in his corner.
I'm sorry. She actually just says everything she said in the text there, but that's your response to blaspheming your literal God? Come on, bro. Come on, President. Don't blaspheme my Jesus. Come on, President. It's nuts. This is not real. This is unserious. You don't actually believe this. You can't. You cannot. I'm sorry. You cannot actually believe that this is the truth, that your spiritual belief is true, and also think that this is a proper response. One of the two is weaker than the other, and it's clear. It's clear which one. Because if I actually believed that I was going to burn in hell for doing any of these XYZ things, I wouldn't be doing them. But, we're going to skip ahead because, like I said, she literally just says what she said in the text, and I realized that it doesn't show her in the video before, so maybe you guys didn't know what she looks like, but just about as dumb as you'd imagine.
By speaking the truth and doing my best to lead people to Christ and supporting the America First agenda, which in turn means supporting President Trump.
So this is incredibly stupid and incredibly pathetic, and I'll explain why. So first things first. She says, she reiterates and she emphasizes how much of a Christ follower she is. God, I love Jesus. And then talks about how amazing it is that Donald Trump he's such a masterful troll. Did Jesus mock, belittle, insult, and viciously attack people who disagreed with him? Even if they agreed with him on most things, did he lob insults at the apostles? Was that his approach? Did Jesus troll his way into convert? Like, it's just so funny to me how these people who profess to be just absolute devotees of Christ will cultishly cling to a man who has absolutely nothing in common with Christ, who doesn't even try. What are Christ's values? Patience, mercy, compassion, empathy, dignity, intellect, all these things embodied in Jesus' words in the New Testament, right? His depiction in the New Testament. Trump doesn't even try. Humility, empathy, compassion, mercy, grace, forgiveness, persuasion, judiciousness, none of that. So there's a huge glaring... I love Jesus so much. I think it's so awesome that Donald Trump wants to own the libs. He's such a masterful troll. Fuck the libs. That's her entire personality. It's really pathetic and dumb and incoherent, right? Number one. Number two, as I and others point out, and I'm going to show you some of the reactions here. Spencer Hakeman says, MAGA is the greatest humiliation ritual ever. Clint Russell says, great example of how Khan Incorporated works. Riley does the right thing, defends her religion. Trump fires back because he's a toddler. Riley immediately goes into damage control mode because Khan Incorporated invitees get lost in the mail. Invites get lost in the mail the minute you've upset the Lord Emperor. Pathetic. Pedro Gonzalez says Trump publicly humiliated Riley, and her response is to stoop lower, kiss his feet. That's the price of being in MAGA. You're not allowed to keep your dignity. Riley Gaines just publicly chose Donald Trump over Jesus Christ.
Damn.
Sage Steele, of course, another MAGA cultist, says, classy response, Riley Gaines. What about Trump's class, you morons? It's so funny because the people who are cheerleading her are like, it's such a classy response. Good on you, Riley. Even if you want to take that at face value, why isn't Trump obligated to have a classy response, you cultist sheep?
They
you
never
idiots.
want to hold him to a standard.
Why is there
Never.
a greater expectation imposed on Riley Gaines, who I don't like, but who has a fraction of the influence and power and therefore the expectation of the President of the United States? Why do you all infantilize this man? Why do you treat him like a toddler? And then it's so funny. The very people like Joe Biden has dementia. Joe Biden has handlers. You all treat Donald Trump as if he is a dementia-riddled lunatic with no agency. He's just a blank slate. Oh, my God, he's manipulated. Benjamin Netanyahu is manipulating Trump. Oh, my God. His advisors, Trump's advisors are misleading him. Oh, my God. Trump woke up grumpy this morning. He's constipated. He didn't eat this morning. It's not his fault. I don't take it personal. You guys are losers. You would never accept this level of sycophancy from anybody else. Imagine Barack Obama posts a picture of himself as Black Jesus. And imagine liberals like me go, it's just a joke. Oh, my God, I don't take it personal. It's a sense of humor. How would you all respond?
That's something I often think about. And I used to go back to Obama. I used to imagine if so many examples of imagine if Obama did this. And now I'm at a point where we don't have to go. Imagine if Joe Biden did this. Imagine if again, all these people are evil. They were tripping on Joe Biden for sniffing a kid. Now, don't get me wrong. We're not sniffing kids. That's weird. But they're not at all concerned that he's best friends with one of the most prolific pedophiles in history. It doesn't make sense. And it won't make sense. Like my dad said, don't try to make sense of nonsense, man.
You'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? He's the president. He's an adult. He's responsible for his actions and should be blamed for his screw-ups. And yes, he's obligated to act with class and dignity. So funny. Again, she's getting just annihilated here. So funny. It's an absolutely brutal example of Stockholm Syndrome. Trump doesn't give a shit about you, and he even said he's not a fan of you. Give it up. Trump blew her off like her opinion was just static, and she's still thanking him for it. Textbook cult behavior. A mass-murdering serial rapist and pedophile disrespected your religion and called you a loser, and your response is to bow down and kiss his feet. I hope you know people see that you literally stand for nothing if it takes away from your grift. Sold your soul for this.
Damn.
And just goes on and on and on and on and on. So funny. And again, these people, they're losers. That's all well and good, Riley, but please understand that Trump does not see things like you or I do. He may very well have seen himself depicted as a great Christian healer of the people he stated, but there's no proof he's lying. Besides, the Pope and Moses are depicted in the same red and white clothing. Oh, my God. Some people defending him.
Yeah, family, that's the gist of that one. Please let me know what you think, but it's it's very funny to me, to say the least. Very interesting, very very telling, you know, very telling of, like I said before, like if this was true, if you guys believe this, like you said, not you guys, but whoever does believe this, if people believe this like they said, we wouldn't be seeing the things we're seeing. And this is an example of that for me, because there's no way these two things are occurring within the same person's mind and logically checking out. But as always, let me know what you think, and I'll catch you on the next one.